Hi girls and boys, this is the MIKI in a West channel. I am Hungarian. I'm a comedian, an actor, a composer, a lyricist, a theatrical director and an abstract painter and also a novelist. And I am the proud translator of Monty Python's Flying Circus. Today I'm going to tell you a story about Whitesnake, the band Whitesnake. So, I was in London in the summer of 1980 and I got in touch with the record company of Whitesnake and they told me to go to Ascot the next day. They told me to be there at 3 p.m. So I took the train from London to Ascot. I walked to the address. It was an enormous mansion. I was told that they are recording their new album there. And the door was open. So I walked in, I looked to my right, and in a small room there was an enormous drum kit. And I looked at the wooden box, the container that was there, and the writing on it said, Ian Paice, Deep Purple. I thought, I have arrived, I'm in the right place. And soon the boys from the band started to emerge. It turned out that they were recording the album downstairs in the different rooms downstairs and they were sleeping upstairs. So it was a sleepover studio. Later I found out, but it belongs here, that the mansion was owned by Ringo Starr. He wasn't there, but it was his property. So I asked David Coverdale for an interview and we went upstairs to what I think was his bedroom. And he was very kind and generous with his time. I think first I asked him about Ian Paice because I was obsessed with the drumming of Ian Paice. From the Who Do We Think We Are album onwards. And he said that Ian Paice was the only thing that was missing from Whitesnake until then. He played drums on the previous album, which I will show you soon. And then David had a cassette and he played it to me. He played to me the backing track that they have recorded the previous night. And at this point in time, there were no lyrics to the song, so David was humming along. And later the song became Don't Break My Heart Again. It was a chart success for Whitesnake. Then I asked him about Burn, the song Burn. And he said that he wrote 11 versions of the song. In this case, versions mean melody lines and lyrics. He wrote 11 versions to please Ritchie Blackmore, so that he could choose from the 11 different versions. And David said, that's how stupid I was. He was criticizing himself. And obviously Ritchie chose the one that you know as Burn. It's a great song, it's a phenomenal track. And then I asked David about Glenn Hughes, about these duets that he sang with Glenn on Burn and Stormbringer. And I was very young and inexperienced, and I didn't know that this would be a touchy subject for David, but it was. I saw his facial expression that it was touchy. And he said, after Stormbringer, I put my foot down and I said, either you sing the song or I sing the song. And if you listen to the phenomenal, magnificent Can't Taste the Band album, you will hear that Glenn Hughes sings 2 songs on it and David sings the rest. And there's only one song, the last song on the album, that they sing together. It's called You Keep On Moving. They sing it together because they wrote it together. It's credited to Coverdale Hughes. And I felt a little embarrassed that I stumbled on this subject because I didn't know it would be so touchy for him. So in my embarrassment, I asked him, where is he now? And he said, he's in Los Angeles, suffering from the same attitude. Oops, I thought they were friends, which they are now. They are friends now. He said, he was trying to upstage me. Another oops. Anyway, that's what I remember from the interview. We walked downstairs where they were having breakfast. They were having breakfast at 3 p.m. because they worked in the night. They were recording during the night and they went to bed in the morning and got up at 3 p.m. That's why I was told to be there at 3 p.m. Ian Paice was playing Space Invaders, and I approached him and asked for an interview, and he said, okay, but only 5 minutes. I said, okay, let's do it. So we sat down in a place that I could only describe as a sitting room, in a sofa, on a sofa, and the interview turned out to be 15 minutes at least. I don't remember as much as I remember from the David Coverdale interview. I clearly remember one very foolish question I asked him. I said, you took part in the mixing of the Can't Taste the Band album. He said, yes. And I said, do you play any other instrument apart from the drums? And he said, no, you don't need to play instruments to take part in the mixing. And I took out my copy of Can't Taste the Band from my plastic bag, and he said, he reacted to me taking it out. He said, that's a good one. I said, it sure is. And he signed it for me. So we go out to the main hall, and the band was sitting around the breakfast table. And by this time, John Lord has arrived. How did I know that he didn't sleep there? He just came from somewhere else because he had his car keys in his hand. And that's when I asked all 6 members of Whitesnake to sign my copy of Ready and Willing. I hope you can see the signatures. And then I said to the boys, please call me a taxi which would take me to the train station. And John Lord, still having his car keys in his hand, said, "No need for a taxi, I'll take you to the train station." I said, "Thank you." And we went outside and there was a Porsche. I've never seen a Porsche in person before. And we sat in John Lord's Porsche and he drove me to the train station. He was very kind, a very kind man, and obviously a great organist. And I wrote some articles from the interviews which were published here in Hungary. So that's my Whitesnake story. Let me show you one of my paintings. This is called Prototype, and it's a first in the sense that no other painter ever thought of having shapes, circles, and an oval shape leaping out of the painting. All the painters paint in square shaped canvases or rectangle shaped canvases. Nobody ever leapt out of the canvas. It's my invention and I'm very proud of it. See you next time when I will tell you a story about new music. It's another band, very different from Whitesnake, but a great band. And I've also met their lead singer, as I met Whitesnake's. See you next time. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Bye.